You would never suspect that a house like this could have what it's got. My opinions have drastically changed. I came into this house as a massive skeptic, going to leave this house with a different mindset. We are back!
Welcome back to our channel, everybody. It is so good once again to see you.
Welcome back to another Spooky Sunday, where this week we're going to go through our story so far.
A lot of new people are here and checking in on us, and we've had many comments asking for our story so far or a bit of an update. So we thought if we start from the very beginning and put it on here, people can kind of catch up and then follow us on from there. We're going to start from the beginning. We're going to fill you all in. We're probably going to add a few extra details that we might not have shared before.
Before we get started though, be sure to give us a like, as it really helps us out. Subscribe for more content like this. We're uploading 3 days a week, massive. And also come and check us out on social medias as well. Make sure to get yourself a brew, turn off them lights,
and let's get into the video.
Let's do it.
So we moved into this house in the summer of 2018. We came and viewed it, and our first impression when coming to view this house was that it was just perfect for what we wanted. I put it out to the universe. It was almost like it was waiting for me. It was meant to be.
Absolutely. And I think for me as well, like, I was moving out of my parents' house, so this was a massive step in my life. It was like a massive first thing, and it was big because, like, I was moving in with you, and also I was moving into my own place.
So when we came into this home, we never felt any negativity. There were no negative, oppressive atmospheres. We just felt like this was meant for us. We had no inkling of anything that might be going on or any concerns. It just felt like a really peaceful, happy, positive place that we could
grow,
evolve together
yeah,
in.
Definitely.
And really make our own.
So for the first couple of weeks, there was not a lot really going on. I think we were so busy moving everything in, putting everything where we wanted it, and just kind of letting the dust settle and settling in.
Yeah.
But then,
until
until a couple of weeks later, when we both started to experience things, but individually. I did see quite a lot of things out the corner of my eye, so shadows and things like this. But then when I go to look at them, nothing there. And also, I would quite often hear what sounded like big, heavy boots kind of stomping up the stairs. It was very slow, thuds, and quite obvious that it sounded like someone was coming up the stairs. But I'd be home alone, or it'd be quite late at night when I know that we're both asleep.
But you wrote it off, didn't you?
I did write it off because I thought, well, maybe it's the house settling, maybe it's the pipes cooling down, or the house heating up and some stuff like this. And also, although we were new into the house, me and Lainey were also very fresh in our relationship. Like, we'd only been together for a couple of months at this point.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go to Lainey and say, I'm seeing this, I'm hearing this, and her being like,
what have I done?
Who's this nutter that I've got with?
On the flip side, I was also experiencing things myself. Things were not where I left them, and then they would turn up a few days later in the middle of the living room or the middle of a bedroom on the floor. I would also hear the sound of like footsteps, movement around the house that I couldn't understand or explain. I was having a bath and I heard a voice call my name from the floor above. We were on a 3-floor house, and the top floor, it was the sound of like a male voice, quite like a gruff, elderly person's voice, call my name. And I knew that I was in the house alone. For a while I thought, I'm just hearing things, it's all in my mind, maybe I'm just getting used to the house, the sounds in the house,
yeah.
Or maybe it was somebody outside. But really I knew that it was a sound that came from the house, it was a voice that came from within the house.
Yeah, and I think for both of us, you never told me about this, did you?
No, so I purposely didn't tell Ben. At the time, it was such a stressful point in my life. There were huge changes.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I'm not dealing with this. We each had individual things going on separately that we didn't tell each other about, and that went on for probably.
It went on for a very long time.
Yeah, like, a month or two.
Yeah, and then also, the house that we've moved into is a new build house. So even if I was to put it down to something paranormal or something haunted, you never think of a new build house as haunted. You
Yeah.
always, if you think of a haunted house, you always think old, decrepit, kind of houses that are falling apart.
Or houses that are like manor houses that are hundreds of years old.
And they've got a lot of history and had a lot of people in. Whereas this house is brand new. You would never suspect that a house like this could have what it's got.
So we wrote it off. Individually, we ignored it, pretended it wasn't happening, until the one occasion that brought us to talking to each other about it.
This was a crazy experience.
This was the first thing that had happened together.
Yes.
So we were sat one evening, as we do, just watching TV, chilling out. After work, it was just a relaxed downtime sort of evening.
Yeah.
And we had been sat here for about 20 minutes. Some noises had been going on around the house, but again, it was the evening, so it could have just been the house cooling down. Until underneath the television that we were watching, a plant slid across the unit.
I remember taking a minute, looking at you.
Yeah, we could.
And you're already staring at me.
We both sat up, like almost like,
yeah,
and like looked at each other.
Your
as if
mouth.
to say, did you see that?
I think your mouth.
Did I just see what I saw?
Yeah, I think your mouth could have been touching the floor. Like, it was like.
And at that point, it opened the floor to each other for discussion.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's really funny that this has just happened because only last week I heard my name being called when you were at work. And then Ben told me all about his experiences.
And I was like, oh, thank God I'm not crazy. That was hard for me, that conversation, because I never believed in anything paranormal, ever.
And I was similar in the sense that I was cautious about what I did believe.
Yeah, I think it was hard for me to kind of accept that there could have been something else in the house with us.
So that was the summer of 2018, we'd moved in, we'd experienced things, we'd seen something together, and then we kind of acknowledged that something might be happening.
Yeah.
Things continued to happen in the home
and it was
on a fairly regular basis.
And it was more of the same, so it was very tame. Footsteps, we'd look at each other, did you hear that? Yeah, I heard that. Awesome.
People would come over and we'd be sat in the living room having a chat, and you'd hear the footsteps in the room above us.
Yep.
And they would stop and look up, and Ben's wallet was always disappearing.
My wallet, your earrings.
Earrings, I'm still waiting for some earrings to turn up.
Yeah.
You'd find them in the middle of the floor, in, random rooms, or we'd find them by the front door.
Definitely.
On the mat. And it would always come in fits and starts.
Yes.
Sometimes we would have a couple of weeks with a lot of movement, a lot of sounds, a lot of activity, as I would describe it. And then we would maybe go 2 or 3 months with nothing.
And one thing that was quite recurring was the little white cupboard door that's next to our bed.
Yeah.
This would open and close as it pleased. So we decided to wedge it shut with some cardboard, just to try and keep it shut. But it would still manage to find its way open and shut regardless of what we wedged it with.
Yeah.
And the cardboard was quite thick, and it would have taken force to get it open.
That cupboard closes with a magnetic latch as well, but it was never enough, so we'd really wedge some cardboard in there to make sure it couldn't open. You'd have to give it a good tug, but it still was able to, we'd still find it open, it was still open in the night. Sometimes it would open and slam shut a few times. Sometimes it would rattle back and forth, halfway open, as though you had a hand on either side and you were kind of pulling and pushing it. And that was probably the most frightening thing at the time that was happening, because we'd be woken up and it would be right by our bed, right by our heads.
Yes.
Fast forward to the beginning of 2020.
So obviously, everything's changed. Lockdown's happened, we're spending a lot of time at home. We're still working, but we're on very reduced hours, which means that we've got a lot more time in the house. I think it was one weekend morning, I've gone out to get some breakfast stuff, and Lainey's in the house on her own, had just got out of the shower to start the day. She's heard this door opening and closing, like we've said.
For days before that, or nights I should say, before that, repeatedly we had been awoken by this door opening itself and closing itself, and I was getting a bit annoyed, if I'm honest with you. I was getting frustrated. It's that bloody door again. We were taping it shut, we were wedging it shut, we had put things in front of it. For whatever reason, it would still happen.
Yeah.
So I got out the shower and I was starting to get myself ready, and I was kind of startled by the sound of the door slamming open again. So I decided to pick up my phone, make a video of it, and I probably made 4 separate clips of it, and I posted one of them onto TikTok, and we were new to TikTok. We were lockdown TikTok attendees.
We were drawn into the lockdown TikTok.
And I just decided, you know what? I'm going to seek some opinions on this.
Yeah.
Let me post this. Let me see what people think about it. If anybody relates to it, that will bring me comfort. Somebody may be able to advise me on what they think it is. Logically, worldly, or otherworldly. Strangely, really surprisingly, the video blew up. Because we'd agreed that we were going to see if we could start catching things to share with people and get their opinions on what we were experiencing, we really, and still now, endeavoured to always have a phone on us wherever we went, and to really try and capture as much as we could to share with you all.
Yes.
90% of what happens in this house we don't capture, or we do catch it and we don't share it. We're very particular about what we do share, and the reason for that is that
we can almost put explanation to what it may be.
Yeah,
so
logical reason. The things that we do share,
we have no.
We can't really explain, and we want you guys to help us with.
Yes. So again, fast forwarding, we've already covered a lot of the things that have happened. If you haven't seen those videos, then go and check them out. We'll link them above. So there's a lot more that seems to be going on, and we also noticed that the activity was starting to get a bit more violent. Would you say?
Yeah, the strength was definitely building up.
Yeah.
Now people. And again, I'd love your opinion on this, but a few people have said to us that it can feed off your energy.
Yes.
And so I wouldn't say we were being negative, but our difficulties in that time may have fed into whatever this is that is in our home.
There were more things that were happening, and bigger things were happening. So, for example, there was a chair that came out from under the table.
Yeah.
There was a bottle that was thrown across the counter.
Just stronger movements.
Yeah.
More violent.
Yes, definitely.
Movements. Or it depends how you want to look at it. Some people feel like it was very violent. Some people feel like it's somebody or a spirit or a being that's really desperate to get our attention.
Yeah, I don't think it's violent towards us at all. But I did feel like the actions were getting more. It seemed to be a bit more violent.
And it was more shocking.
Yes. After a lot of people had kind of recommended it, we went out and we researched. Well, we tried to research the house.
But there's nothing on it.
But there's nothing here because it was only 10 years old. So we decided to research the area that the house was built on.
When they were preparing the land to build these houses on, they did find some skeletal remains of 4 people. The land is known from a long time ago to have been where battles had been fought.
The interesting thing about these bodies is that they were found with their hands tied behind their backs and their feet tied together, and they were buried in shallow graves. Now,
that makes you wonder if this is something that it has remained on the land and we are just residing in its space.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Is that something that you would agree with? Would you say that's something that's possible?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people do think that it's attached to yourself.
Yeah, some people think it's attached to me. I haven't experienced anything like this my whole life. I have experienced other things where I've not been sure if I want to believe it or not, or if it was real or not, but never anything like this. So I'm not sure about that. We'll find out when we move house one day if it comes with us.
Definitely. We did try to communicate with our spirit. We did YouTube it because we wanted to share our experience, because we don't feel like this is just our experience or story anymore. We feel like that a lot of you are very invested.
Too afraid with the concept of an Ouija board and feeling completely out of my depth with that, although Ben wants to do one.
We will do it one day. Even if it's like imagine the day we move out.
Okay, we'll do it then.
Yes!
We decided that we would try a spirit box app, which was recommended to us. The app was called Necrophonic. It's £10 to download from the App Store. And we decided that we would go with that, we'd give that a try.
Yes.
You can see the video if you want to go and find that.
We'll link it up here again.
Yeah. During that session, 3 spirits came through.
Yeah.
Many people agreed that they think it was a child, a male spirit and a female spirit.
Yeah.
And it was very, very interesting. We got names, we got some information.
Yeah, there have been a lot of people who tell us that they're paranormal professionals and mediums as well, who say that they can feel the spirits through what they're watching. Not too sure how it works. And they've said that they feel like there's spirits in different areas of the house. So they think that downstairs there's a playful child who is doing things to try and get our attention, and when they don't get the attention, they throw things to kind of almost like a tantrum.
Yeah.
They think that upstairs in our bedroom, where we've also had some things going on, there is an elderly man who can be a bit grumpy at times. And that, I think, for me personally, I think that kind of explains the big heavy boots coming up the stairs.
Yeah.
And also
me hearing my name being called.
Yeah. And we asked the question of, are we wanted here? Does it want us here?
Does it just want our attention?
Yeah.
Is it happy to have us here? The other spirit that people, and a few psychics or mediums have come to us and said about, is a female spirit.
Yes.
And I have actually seen a female spirit in this house. You can find that on our TikTok if you want to see the story about that too. So it is thought that there could be 3 separate spirits. Sorry, we just had to take a quick pause because the kitten needed us. So the other thing that I've seen in the bedroom is a shadow of a tall outline of, I would say, like a human sort of form.
So, yeah, that's basically our story. We're basically at this point now, we're carrying on to try and document as much as we can, but we can't catch everything. Just so frustrating, but we would love to kind of invest in some equipment to put around the house because it would be good for us to see, as well as you guys, what happens when we're not around, if we're at work, and also when we're asleep.
One thing that we want to quickly talk about is how our opinions have changed with regards to the paranormal since moving into this house.
My opinions have drastically changed, and I think anyone who was in our position would also have the same opinion. I came into this house as a massive skeptic, not believing anything paranormal, and I know I'm going to leave this house with a different mindset, an open mind, if you will.
Yeah. I always hoped something was there. I always hoped that there was life after death, or there was something after death.
Yeah.
I've never really had much proof. I've like I say, had a few experiences that I would say I couldn't explain, but still hadn't had enough to be like, it's true, ghosts are real, paranormal exists, or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I would say I was cautiously skeptical. I hoped something would exist, but didn't really have concrete proof.
Yeah.
Ben was more of a complete skeptic,
yeah,
you? And that's because you had never experienced
absolutely
anything.
But I think also something for me that changed as well is my opinions on death. So I always thought of death as case closed, like that's it, you're finished. But it's made me think, is there more? Let us know in the comments what you think about this. Would you be a bit like us, or are you still like us?
What are your opinions on this?
Yeah.
Do you think there's more after you pass away? What do you think that is?
Yeah.
Do you believe in these sorts of things or not?
I think it is there is a case to be made that you have to see it for your own eyes to be able to believe it yourself.
And for that reason, we are really open to other people's opinions.
Of course.
Okay guys, so that is effectively our story so far, from moving in to where we are now. I feel like this has been a bit of a journey. And
absolutely.
We want to take this opportunity to just thank you all for joining us. This has been a completely unexpected situation that we found ourselves in.
Absolutely.
And we've really gained from it in the sense that we have found a community of people who are like-minded,
yeah,
and who are so interesting and have such similar experiences to us, and come back because you can relate to us. You've brought us such joy and happiness and purpose, so we just want to take the opportunity to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for catching up with us on our social media platforms You really do mean such a lot to us.
You do. And I think you've just hit the nail on there. There's not much else to say, but
just a huge thank you.
With all that said, if you want to drop this video a like, please do. Subscribe if you want to hang around for more updates and more things paranormal. And check us out on social medias as well, at Ben and Lainey, where we're posting more paranormal stuff.
Next week we're going to do a full update on our Poltergeist activity. So come back next Sunday for that, 8 o'clock as always. All that's left to say now is thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for watching.
We can't wait to see you in the next one on Tuesday. And peace.